Hello everybody, this is Pete Darglio here. I had a nice game in NA Masters slash Grandmasters MMR recently, and I thought it would be a good opportunity to review and explain how I played the game. Hopefully some of this commentary is able to help you in your games. This is my first attempt at recording something like this, so if you're interested in any more content or have some feedback, any comments would be greatly appreciated. Anyways, this game I was playing Sylas versus Veigar mid. This matchup is quite nice early game because he's immobile and he lacks a lot of damage. But it can be rough in the late game because his cage can shut you down pretty easily. And you always got to be careful of the enemy jungler to make sure that you don't get ganked, or you might have to blight your flash. I am running the first strike runes this game. I would definitely recommend checking out the first strike runes, playing at least a couple games on them if you haven't already. It is very nice for snowballing into the mid and late game, and overall I think it just provides a lot more utility and a lot more damage than either the standard Conqueror setup or the Electrocute rune page. So as usual here, something that I really like to do is start Q level 1. Normally you can get about 2 to 3 of the melee minions in the first wave. I know a lot of people like to start E because it does do a lot of damage and gives you the 2 passive stacks. But against a lot of champions, you're just going to take the same amount of damage or even more after the trade, just getting poked as you're walking away. And I just find I really like being able to secure that CS and also some of the caster minions. I do start Doran's Ring in pretty much every single one of my games. I really like it for the bonus mana regeneration. I rarely end up running out of mana, and it does give you the bonus damage to minions on hit, which helps a lot with last hitting. As you can see, Veigar's being very aggressive here, just walking up. So I am aware that Volibear's here. I don't have vision of him, but I knew he was going to be there because there's no other reason for Veigar to walk up like that. So if for some reason your lane opponent is being abnormally aggressive, understand that it's probably because the enemy jungler is there and try not to get baited into a bad play. Because if I did go in there, I would have either died or had to waste my flash. Now my jungler is coming, so I have an opportunity to be aggressive. Even if Volibear was in that bush, Kayn and I win 2v2 pretty hard, just because it's Kayn early game and Sylas early game. Versus Veigar, he's not very effective at this point. Veigar did TP back to lane. And so Kayn, since Kayn just took the bot side, he's ready to gank again. A good play by him. I did miss that cannon, which was completely unnecessary. So in that fight, I did make a mistake by not igniting the Volibear. I believe Kayn would not have had to flash and die for the kill if I got my ignite off, but unfortunately by the time I realized he was low health, I was out of ignite range. But one of the main things to learn about fighting with Sylas is that you have to wait for your cooldowns to come up. And since I engaged that fight on the Veigar, and then Volibear came, I had no cooldowns up, and I wasn't really able to help my Kayn, so I just sat on the outskirts of the fight and let him deal with him. And then once my abilities came back up, I was able to go back in and kill the Veigar. Your auto attacks are very weak, and if you try to contest a fight like that when you have nothing up, you're just gonna end up being pretty much useless and taking a lot of more damage than you need to and potentially dying. Now here I'm just letting the wave come towards my side a little bit, because I know Kayn is in the top side and I know he can come mid soon, so I want this Veigar to be overextended. Kayn doesn't end up coming, so I just reset the wave. I see Veigar walks down here through that ward, and I assume that he's coming down through that bottom area, but he ends up noticing me and walking the other direction. But that is a really good location where you can catch the enemy mid laner when they're walking back. If you just dash over that wall, you can get a very favorable trade, especially into champions like Veigar. Here, I'm mainly just trying to bait Veigar's E out, because I know it's very hard for me to kill him if he has it up, because he'll just place it on himself. But since I can take his ult, if I can get his E down, I can take his ult once it runs out, and then just full combo him, and there's nothing he can do. So there's the E. So now I know I have a decent window to kill him. And as soon as the E runs out, I instantly go in for the combo. A lot of champions have abilities like that. It's very hard to engage on certain champions when they have their crowd control up, like Veigar when he has his E, Lux with her Q, Ahri with her E. If they're smart, they'll hold it until you engage, and it'll make it a lot harder to ever do anything, but if you can kind of bait them into wasting it, you can get a good trade like that. Now here, I underestimated Veigar's Predator movement speed. I also didn't have ult up, so there's not really much I could have done. I should have just backed off earlier, but I did kind of greed for the wave plus the plates. As soon as I had taken the plate, I should have noticed, or I should have been paying attention that Veigar did have Predator and understood that he could reach me very quickly. And I've just played a bit more safer towards my side of the map, just so I had a better escape route, but unfortunately there, I was a bit too close to their side. At this point, I do have my full Everfrost, so I am extremely strong for 9 minutes into the game. And I know that if I hit him with a full combo, I can basically just kill him if I root him with Everfrost. So I see that my Kayn is on Dragon. Or not Dragon. I see that he's on Rift Herald. And I go to help. Veigar walks up into me, so I try to go for a kill. He does end up having his flash. But that is a trade I'm willing to take. There I'm able to jump over the wall. Because I have the Volibear ult, I am not really afraid of anything potentially happening to me. You can Volibear ult through Veigar E, and it will not stun you. Also gives a lot of health. It's overall a very good ultimate. Since I knew that they were pretty weak, I know the Kayn's with me, I'm able to jump in there. We end up getting the kill. Now because I know that Volibear ult will cancel out Veigar's E, I can basically jump on him at any time as soon as he walks up a bit too far. I end up missing the ult, but it doesn't really matter. I don't need the damage. The ult just makes it so he can't escape. Another tip for wave clearing, we'll probably see me do it here. In order to instantly clear the wave, I like to queue the backline minions, dash into the middle of the wave, and then start autoing the melees. The damage from the 2 Q procs plus your passive AoE will kill the caster minions, and then the single target focus damage from your E2, your W, and your auto attacks onto the melees will help clear those out as well. So I would practice this in practice tool. It's not very hard to do, but it definitely will help you clear your waves way faster than whatever you might be doing. There, I got a bit hyper with my W and ended up missing the cannon minion. But another tip for farming while under tower, learn your passive damage very well. And there you can see me do the wave clear combo again. Learn your passive damage very well, and you'll be able to get a lot more CS than you would normally be able to get. Your passive executes minions under 25 health after it hits them. And that's very helpful for clearing waves. It's very helpful for getting CS under tower. Now here, I don't expect the enemy bot lane to be here, but because I held my E2, I'm able to get out by hitting the dragon. As you can see, I do have Sorcerer's Shoes, I have full Everfrost, 3-stack Dark Seal, my damage potential is very high. So basically anyone that I land an Everfrost root on, I can just one-shot. Except for the Volibear, he's a bit tankier. So I'm basically looking for any opportunity where the enemy oversteps and I'm able to get a free Everfrost off. I don't really like E-ing and then Everfrosting. It's a bit slow. And it kind of makes you vulnerable because if you miss your Everfrost, you can be in a bit of trouble because you already used your E. And there, Veigar stepped up, I Everfrosted him. I missed my E, but my damage potential is so high, especially with his ult, that I ended up killing him anyway. The build that I'm going for, and this is the first strike build, is Everfrost into Sorcerer's Shoes into Shadow Flame. The Sorcerer's Shoes plus the Shadow Flame give you an insane amount of damage output because you will be doing true damage to anyone that does not have magic resist. And you might think that Shadow Flame would not be good in every situation since it does have the anti-shielding part. But the anti-shielding part is basically useless. All of your damage will just come from the fact that it gives you the penetration based off of how much health they have. And especially if you're able to get it early. Like, I don't have it finished right now, but I'll have it finished soon. I have both of the components. Most enemies are going to be near 1,000 health, which is the maximum threshold for the 20 magic penetration. So you'll be, and you only need about 15 to start doing true damage. So you'll be doing extremely high damage. First strike will amplify that by 10%, plus you get bonus gold from the amount of damage you deal, and you just end up snowballing very hard. Now here, since my bot lane took the enemy bot tower, I'm letting them go mid, and I'm rotating bot lane. Now because there are no enemies on the map, we just have Ashe top, Misfortune walk bot lane. I am being a bit careful, but here I see the Misfortune oversteps a bit. Don't end up getting her because of the Gale Force. And there, I get a nice 1v4 double kill. You can see playing around my cooldowns there allowed me to get both of those kills. If I had tried to go into melee range of that Volibear or that Veigar when I had nothing up, I would have just taken extra damage for free. I'm standing on the outskirts of the fight, focusing on dodging skill shots and waiting for my abilities to come up. And once they come up, then I am able to go back in. And I'm able to do damage, I'm able to heal, and reposition myself. Another key part of that fight was that I took Volley Barrel during my E, which, during my E2, which canceled the animation. If you aren't already using your E2 to cancel the animation of your ult, I'd highly recommend it. If I had ulted there just normally without using my E2, it would have had a bit of a delay. And I might not have lived as long as I did, because I'd be sitting there for longer. But as you can see at this point, I'm doing very well. I'm 6-2. I have 4 points in Q. I do like maxing Q second in this build, because this build is entirely based on your damage potential. And your Q damage increases by 75 every time you level it up, which is great for wave clear, it's great for taking camps, and it also just massively increases your one-shot potential. If you're going a Conqueror build, I'd still probably recommend Emax, just because it makes you more slippery in fights, but with this build, I have found Qmax to be much better. Yeah, at this point I'm just sitting bot, taking camps when I need to. This is how you maximize your farm, and this is how you snowball a game. Fortunately, Volibear did take the dragon, but... I'm sitting bot lane, applying pressure in a side lane. I'm not stepping up too far when I don't have vision of the enemies. It's like here, I'm not just walking into lane. I know I can outplay maybe a 2 or a 3 person collapse, but I still have to be careful. Using the wave clear combo. At this point it's less necessary because I do have my maxed Q. And I'm just taking jungle camps whenever I see them because I can. And maximizing the amount of gold that I'm able to get. Now at this point, I have 3 of my teammates mid, Gangplank is top. My job here is just to sit bot lane and draw their aggro. My team is strong. My Kayn is 7-2. My Gangplank is 2-1. Everyone's doing pretty well. I know that they can win a 4v4 or even a 4v5. So I'm just sitting bot lane, clearing waves, applying pressure to their inhibitor tower, and kind of forcing them to pay attention to this side of the map so my team can get stuff on the opposite side. Now, I did recall there because my team did get the inner turret in the top lane, and they started to back off. I was about half health. I had a lot of gold. You can see I bought basically an entire Zhonya's there. So there's not really any reason for me to stay. Now I'm coming to help my team because they were looking for a Baron play. Get a good fight here. End up getting 2 flashes. I do try to make a Zyra ult play, but it ends up doing a lot less damage than I thought. But in the end, we do win the fight. Now here, I know my team's killing them in their base. I don't need to follow my team. What I need to do is I need to push this wave so that we can actually start having more pressure again. There's no point in continuing into their base with no minions. Especially if I know that they're fine. I can just focus on pushing the wave. Zaya's pushing top wave. Getting prio in all of these lanes is going to help us set up a potential Baron play. Again, I'm just taking all the farm that I can. The enemy team does end up surrendering at this point. So that game, I played pretty passive in the mid game. I don't think I got a kill for the last section of that game, for the last about 6 minutes. But I still ended up doing very well just by sitting bot, playing safe, not really overextending, but applying enough pressure to where my team could do well on the opposite side of the map and get towers. While also, in the downtime, I'm taking the enemy camps, getting them behind in gold, getting myself up in gold, and then I end up ending the game with 183 CS, 21 minutes, so I have about 8.5 CS a minute. Now, if you are in a situation where you're losing the game, because this was a good example of snowballing the game to a close. If you are on the losing side of this, try and take your own team's camps if you can. You can still side lane, but it's going to be a bit harder because your team is less likely to win fights on their own. But do not start giving up farm just so that you can ARAM, basically. If you're weaker than the enemy team, there's no reason to try and 5v5 them constantly in mid lane. Just tell your team to defend, try not to go in, and just go in a side lane and farm. You will get much more powerful than anything you could try and do in a 5v5. Maybe you could ace them and get really lucky, but most likely you're going to lose a fight, and then the innate team's going to snowball on you and take your stuff. So, I hope that game was helpful. Hopefully it helps you with your wave clearing and your farming and how you play the laning phase and your mid-game management. And yeah,